Right. No, that's so thinking of that in relation to Charlie Kirk and those, what are like some of like the strongest reactions you've had to that book? Because I can imagine there's some folks out there that are probably like, holy cannoli.
Yeah, I mean, the reactions have been really sort of mostly very positive. I know that the title is extremely sort of can be what word incendiary. It makes because the last part of the title. And by the way, just so everybody knows, you can get the book on Amazon and you can get it at Barnes and Noble. And I do have a website. But the full title is Deprogramming Democrats and Uneducating Elite: How I Escaped the Progressive Cult. And so calling it a cult does get a strong reaction from some people. But I think, once you start having a conversation with me, just like I think you can tell I'm not unreasonable. I don't hate people on either side. My whole thing is about everybody having control of their own mind and being able to ask questions and come to their own conclusions without being made to feel like they're an immoral bad person. And I think that's what has happened on the left as the JFK liberalism evolved into the progressive cult that we see today, is that if you don't toe the party line, it's not just that you disagree, it's that you're immoral, that you're a bad person, that you obviously don't care about other people who aren't like you. And I think once you start talking to me, you can see that that's not true with me. And I think that's part of it. But there have been some, I get a lot of just called names. That's often what will happen. And I encourage people to also think that when you get to that point where you've asked these questions, and which is what I always do if I'm talking to someone who might disagree with me, I just ask them questions, and they start calling you a name, consider that a win in some ways. I don't think you're ever gonna. I've never had a conversation, I'll tell you, where I've been asking these questions and someone goes, "Oh my God, you changed my mind," in the moment, but you've planted a seed in their mind. And really what I have always tried to do is just get people to think for themselves. Just start asking questions yourself. And so, yeah, I've been called a lot of things. People tell me my book is gaslighting, it's propaganda. It's all the things that I'm accusing, or I shouldn't say accusing. It's all the things that I provide evidence and research about that I believe has happened from the establishment to both sides, but mostly, again, my experience is on the left. And, I think that, again, I want to reject the left-right dichotomy and put it into an establishment versus non-establishment perspective, in that if you push too hard against the establishment, whether you're on the left or the right, it's going to come after you. It's going to protect itself. And so the media, I used to joke around, when people would say, oh, the media has a left-wing bias, I would joke around and say, no, facts have a left-wing bias. Okay. And now I don't think that's true at all. I definitely do think that when you have like a higher percentage of journalists, and I'm blanking, I do have all the numbers in the book, but when 8 out of 10 journalists view themselves as Democrats, you're going to have a left-wing
Yeah,
bias, and news is no longer just here are the facts. Like, you just go to CNN and it'll tell you, here's the top 5 takeaways from last night's speech and what you should think about them.